Hi everyone, Sebastian here. So today I have some super exciting news. So we are making some changes to the spring configuration to the Mega Pro. So starting this month, you're gonna have a new spring setting for the Mega Pros. So if you've ordered your Mega Pros prior August, you're gonna essentially get the current spring configuration on the Mega Pro. But if you're ordering your machines now and from here on, you're going to get the new spring configuration on the Mega Pro, and I'm going to go over it right now. We have to change the springs on the Mega Pro to match essentially the configuration that is existing on the Micro and on the Mini line. So on the Micro, we have a white spring. So the white spring is super light, followed by the black spring, which is the light spring. And then we have the gray spring, which is basically a medium heavy spring. And then we have the red spring. But on the current Mega Pro, we have also the same colors, but they represent different strength. And it's been very confusing for many of you who want to teach on different machines. Like for example, the super light spring on the Mega Pro is the silver spring, but the silver spring on the Micro and on the Mini is a medium heavy spring. So a lot of you are asking, hey, how do I teach a lunge and so on? So we are making things easier. So now from here on, the super light spring will be super light, whatever machines you buy. Whatever you buy, the Micro, the Mini, the Supra, the whatever machines I'm making, the white spring will be super light, okay? Then the black spring will become the light spring, okay? And then the gray spring will become the heavy spring. What we're doing over here on the current Mega Pro, we have the super light spring. So we have one super light spring. You know it because there's only one gray spring. So now that gray spring is going to be changed to a white spring. The spring itself is the same. We've not changed the springs. The spring is identical. All we did is to update the knob, okay? So now on the new Mega Pro, you have one white spring, that is the super light, and it's identical to the Micro and the Mini line. We also put that white spring at the middle of the carriage because we anticipate that the white spring is going to be the single most used springs in class, because I'm going to talk about the evolution of the method right after I talk about the springs. Then after that, we have the light springs. So on the Mega Pro, you have 4 light springs, and that's the white spring. But on the Micro and the Mini, the white spring is super light, so that's what's causing a lot of confusion. We're going to change the color of the white spring to black. So now, on the current version of the Mega Pro, we had 4 white springs. On the new configuration, we're going to have 5 black spring. So not only we change the color, but we also added an extra light spring. And I'm going to talk about why we did that, again, after I talk about the springs. So now you have more light springs available on the new Mega Pro than you have on the old one. So on the old Mega Pro, okay, on the current Mega Pro, you had a super light and 4 light. Now, the new version, you have a super light and 5 light. And that's going to help you tremendously with time under tension, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. And then finally, we have a heavy spring. So we've always had 3 heavy springs on all the Mega Former. So on the Mega Pro, we have 3 heavy springs. And here the heavy spring is the color black. But the problem is that on the Micro and the Mini, the black is the light spring. It's not the heavy spring. And that is probably the biggest confusion for some of you when you move from one machine to the next. So now, the black spring has become gray. And that's the same as you have on the Micro and the Mini. On the Micro and the Mini, you have a gray spring, which is basically your heavy or your medium heavy spring. It's not the heavy spring, but it's medium heavy. And I'll remember that the resistance is the same, right? So you have 3 heavy springs over here. Now you have 2 heavy springs. We took a spring out. And now I'm going to talk about why. The reason for the 2 change, one, we want to harmonize the spring color among all the machines because we have the Micro, the Mini, and the Mega right now, but the Evo is coming out in 3 months. And after the Evo, we have other machines coming out. We're going to have the Mini X, we have the Micro X, which I'm going to feature very soon. And of course, we have other machines that are going to come out. So it's easier for me now to establish a spring color for everything, and that will be it. So that's number 1. The spring color is to harmonize the springs among the machines. But then number 2, we are moving the method in Lagree 2.0 and Lagree 3.0. The electronics are coming out very soon for those who want to have a digital version of the Megaformer, okay? But for those who don't, for those who are going to stay analog, you're actually going to appreciate working with more light spring. Because now that Lagree has grown tremendously, we are operating over 60 countries. We have over 1,000, maybe I think we have about 1,100 licensees now. We have more men coming doing the workout. The workout is going mainstream. And what I've realized with the expansion of the method is actually, it makes more sense. It's not also the fact that the method is expansionally globally, but now we have a lot of studios operating with 20, 25, 30, 35 machines, right? I think very soon we'll have the first studio with 40 megas, okay? So when you operate in a large group setting, you have no choice but to go longer on the exercise. So when you go longer, the longer you go in a movement, the less resistance you have to use. If you do, for example, a skating or a runner's lunge, 2 minutes, you're probably fine with a heavy and a light spring. But when we do skating for 5 or 6 minutes, you don't want to use a heavy and a light spring because it's going to go in your joints and it's going to cause more inflammation to your hips, your lower back. We don't want that. So what we do now is we use less tension. So when we do pushing exercise on the Mega Pro in the Lagree 2.0 base, we are using less spring. We have to use less springs so that you can comfortably stay in the same movement for 5, 6, 7, whatever long it is. But because we are doing longer movement, we're increasing the time under tension, we have to reduce the spring so that you can do what? What are the two most important qualities in Lagree? What is at the top of the food chain? What are the first two magic key? I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent, guys. It's form and range of motion. When you use the wrong springs, you cannot maintain form and you cannot maintain the range of motion. These are two important elements because we're moving to Lagree 3.0, which is about anti-inflammatory exercises and method. So one way to reduce the inflammation, one way to reduce the friction and the irritation on the joint is to actually move within stricter range of motion and having perfect body alignment. I will tell you, in the 27 years I've been teaching this method, that the first thing to go when people fail is what? Form, absolutely. So in order to maintain form and range of motion over a longer duration of time, you have to do what now? You have to reduce the resistance. Now, reducing the resistance doesn't mean that you're reducing the intensity. You are increasing the intensity. It's just different. So now we have this new spring system, this new spring setting over here to now match a little more what we're doing with the Lagree 2.0. Now, of course, when you have the new Mega Pro with this new spring system, you cannot call it Lagree 2.0. Lagree 2.0, you still need the remote control. And talking quickly about the Lagree 2.0, giving a quick update, we are now finalized the lights. So the lights are out there in production. So the lights are going to come very soon. And we just finalized the prototype for the new spring shifter. So at the end of the year, I'm going to release the Evo Pro. And on the Evo Pro, you're going to see now the new remote control to change the springs electronically. And we call this the lightning spring change, right? A lot of people are familiar with the super fast spring change on the Evo. So on the new Evo Pro, you will have the super fast spring change. The Evo Pro will have the same spring configuration as the Mega Pro. So we're talking about a super light, 5 lights, and 2 heavy, right? All the machines after that are going to have the same spring configuration, but you also have the option of controlling the springs wirelessly, remotely. So that's going to be just amazing, right? And also the other reason that I'm moving away toward more having heavy spring is because we are now prototyping a new drivetrain. I think for the longest time, I've been talking about the fact that I want to full electronification of the machine, right? This is going to be ultimately the best way for us to teach Lagree, let's say to 50, 60, or even 100 people in class. We have to move from analog machine. It's very simple. So I've been playing with electronics since 2011. It's been 14 years now. Learn a little bit about electronics and what works, what doesn't. And now we have essentially come up with, I think, a system that is just perfect. So we're going to prototype this, and probably in the near future, we won't even have the heavy springs. The heavy spring will be replaced by a motor. I will talk more about this technology as it comes available. We're not going to release it anytime soon. So if you guys want to order your Mega Pro, Evo Pro, just know that this hybridization of the drivetrain is not coming out now, but that's another reason for you guys, another explanation of why we start to change the spring. So the one thing that I do want to keep is the sensitivity of the light spring. Okay, this is something that I've noticed. I've been playing with all kinds of motors, and the problem is the motors, all the motors I've tried so far all fail at giving you a super smooth resistance when the resistance is very light. When the resistance is very light using an electronic motor, you can feel the friction in the wheels, and that is incredibly distracting when you do Lagree. So I have found out a new way of doing this electric motor where you have both, where you have super smooth tension. But I'm not going to talk about this right now too much, but this is food for thoughts. So there you have it, man. You have the new spring configuration for the Mega Pro. If you have a studio, and let's say you have 10 of those ones, you want to expand, and you get 2 new Mega Pros, the springs will be different. So you're going to have 2 options. Either you match your 10 old ones to the 2 new ones, or you match the 2 new ones to the 10 old ones. We're going to carry springs with both knobs. It's not a problem. You tell us what you want to do, and then we'll help you change your springs, because obviously you don't want to have 2 machines at your studio with 2 different spring configuration, okay? But my recommendation is that you should swap all the old spring to the new ones and then keep the spring configuration. This is going to be way easier to use, way more intuitive. This is more accommodating for everyone, for new person, old person, and so on, okay? So that's what I recommend. If you have any questions, suggestions, recommendations, concern, comments, please comment here on this video, or you can email us info@lagreefitness.com. And again, my name is Sébastien. Thank you for watching.